Maharani, Sony Liv's political smackdown drama, is back for season 2. But is it triumphant as the twisty political thriller rooted in real-world issues that it hopes to be? Let's break it down. Warning, spoilers ahead for season 1 of Maharani. Set in the late 90s, Maharani follows the ongoing battle for the throne of Chief Minister in Bihar. Season 2 picks up 8 months after the events of last time, where we met housewife and homemaker Rani Bharti, played by Huma Qureshi. Rani's life was flipped upside down overnight when she was forced to assume the position of Chief Minister after her husband, the current CM, was shot and gravely wounded. She found her feet as an uncompromising CM and fought corruption in a "don't underestimate the power of a common woman" story. She eventually found out that her husband, Bhima Bharti, played by Sohum Shah, was never the righteous fight for the little guy leader he appeared to be, but was actually just another corrupt minister involved in one of the country's biggest scams, thus forcing sitting CM Rani to have her own husband arrested and put behind bars. Damn yo, bloody few eventful weeks for Rani Bharti. This lady be needing cocktails and a frickin' staycation after that shit, am I right? If season 1 was about Rani's rise to power origin story of coming into her own and learning how to navigate the ugly world of politics, season 2 is about protecting that seat as we dive into another turbulent election circus, with Rani going head-to-head with opposition leader Naveen Kumar, played by the always excellent Amit Sial, and her own husband Bhima Bharti, who's now out of prison and hungry to reclaim his throne.
रानी को घेरने का ये अच्छा मौका है. हीरो सीएम, जीरो गवर्नेंस है.
Maharani is created by Subhash Kapoor, and this time around, Ravindra Gautam takes the reins from Karan Sharma as director, giving us a far bigger, more ambitious season. Clearly, they've thrown a lot more at the show after the success of last season. Between its seedy, violent world, power-hungry characters, and some crackling dialogue bazi and imaginative insults, and an undeniably entertaining underdog story of a female leader putting men in their place, Maharani too has much going for it, with all the base elements for a thrilling ride. But for me, it never quite rises above competent and watchable to become the kind of show you want to shout about. It's never not engaging, but I was never entirely invested and lost in it. For one, much like the first season, despite writers Subhash Kapoor, Nandan Singh and Uma Shankar Singh's best attempts, the show's exhausting, spirit-defeating 10-episode runtime and gradual pacing certainly don't do it any favors. When will showmakers realize that a 10-hour narrative is something only the greatest streaming shows can pull off? I can think of maybe 4 Indian series that have really earned it. After a point, my brain just switched off and it felt like I was just coasting through the monotony and the repetitive blur of backstabbing, scheming, plotting, and beyond. There's also something unsatisfying about how the series lands its big dun 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 moments. The big reveals, character deaths, twists, turns, and cliffhanger bombshells all make sense on paper, but rarely grabbed me and never felt quite as impactful as you'd hope. And I kept trying to understand why. Perhaps it's because we've seen this world and narrative so many times now from so many different angles and seen it done better that this series just doesn't pack the punch it hopes to. Maharani is less lifeless than Tandav and more competent and coherent than Ashram, but it doesn't quite have the brazen, unapologetic, guilty pleasure excess of Inside Edge or the deliciously memorable characters or urgent, rip-roaring thrills of Mirzapur. But Maharani's performances do much to battle the monotony here. Mukesh Chhabra works his magic once again with a talented cast of heavy hitters, giving us slimy schemers and manipulative ministers of all shapes and sizes. In particular, Kani Kusruti as Rani's right hand, Kaveri, Vineet Kumar as Minister Gauri Shankar Pandey, and Kumar Saurabh as Rani's power-hungry brother, Sannyasi, stand out amongst the expansive ensemble. As the consistently underestimated, disruptive to the point of self-destructive CM, Huma Qureshi's unconvincing accent takes some getting used to.
ये देख ले कि गुंडा सबका हम क्या हाल करते हैं.
But that aside, she brings a formidable, commanding swag and an almost gangster-like energy to Rani Bharti, particularly in the numerous scenes where we see her putting men in their place. Someone please greenlight a Hasina Parkar-like Huma Qureshi-led gangster crime law drama, quick time. Similarly, as opposition leader Naveen Kumar, one of my favorite actors, Amit Sial, continues to make every show he's in better with his very presence. No one plays but also humanizes the bad guy we love to hate quite like he does. But the MVP this season was Sohum Shah as Bhima Bharti. For me, this was his season to steal all the way. As the slimy, opportunistic politician who's as charismatic and inspiring and oddly endearing as he is ruthless and unpredictable, it's entirely to Soham's credit that right to the very end, we don't quite know how to feel about him. As you'd expect, Maharani ends on an exciting cliffhanger that leaves you genuinely intrigued to see what happens next. But the idea of another 10 episode slog to find out makes me want to lie down while already lying down. We're telling the same lawless, brutal, power-hungry heartland story from different angles. Mirzapur is gangsters with politics in the background. Ashram is corrupt godmen with politicians and gangsters in the background. And Maharani is politics with gangsters and corrupt godmen in the background. Is that bringing diversity and different perspectives to storytelling about a particular region, or merely recycling the same rehashed elements? I don't know. You tell me. Would I recommend Maharani 2 to a friend? I mean, if you're not tired of more familiar, violent, backstabby gangland drama, then sure, why not?